Esposito. Glad you could be here. The way this works is I'm going to talk for 24 minutes. Great topic again today. And then at 24 minutes, I'm going to answer any questions you have. So whatever platform you're on, during that 24 minutes, type your questions in. John, my producer, will read me the questions. I will then answer the questions. Then I'll do another 24 minutes, and then I'll answer the questions again. So this is an unbelievable opportunity for you to get questions, health questions answered by somebody who hopefully has a good answer for you. So I'm ready to start whenever you are, John. Let me get my notes set up here. Okay, yes. All right, ready? Let's get out timer. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. Glad you're with me today. So last week, we talked about ordinary healthcare versus holistic healthcare and different approaches to different health conditions. I'm going to continue that today because we had so much feedback on that. People said, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? So I made a list, and I have the list I'm going to go through today on ordinary healthcare versus holistic healthcare. And the nice part about this is you can do both. You don't have to do one or the other. And I usually recommend we do both because the goal ultimately is to get you well enough so you don't need medication. That's a good goal. And in most cases, we succeed with that, by the way, too. So we're going to talk about that. But last week, I started the show by talking about medical doctors or medical professionals getting out of practice. This mass exodus of healthcare providers saying, I'm done, I quit. So I found more research on that, and it said medical exodus, why U.S. physicians are leaving medicine. So I wanted to do a little more follow-up on this before we jump into the show. And American Medical Association Stanford Mayo survey found that 63% of physicians were experiencing burnout, and that's up from the year before. Equally alarming, 1 in 5 physicians said they plan on leaving medicine within 2 years. So 1 out of 5 doctors are quitting in the next 2 years. Some scary numbers. And the reason I say that is we're going to have a lot less doctors. Less doctors are getting into the field. Doctors, even I think it was one of the ex-executives at Google said, don't go into medicine. So the word is out that medicine isn't what it used to be. Healthcare isn't what it used to be, and go into something else. You'll make more money with less stress. That's pretty much what he was saying. So this mass exodus is looming 37,000 or 100,000 doctor shortfall in the next decade. 37 to 100,000 less doctors in the next decade. We have a shortfall coming. So what does this mean for you as the patient? What does it mean for me as the patient? I'm a patient too. We have to start taking control of our own health. If not, the consequences are going to be more devastating than they are now. So if you don't care, if you don't believe the stats from the American Medical Association, Stanford and Mayo Clinic, well, okay, you're going to run that risk. I'm not a gambler. I don't want to take that risk. So the reasons why doctors are quitting and burning out, mental exhaustion. 2/3 of physicians reported burnout, especially during the pandemic. A big one, which I reported on last week, was administrative and electronic health records burden. Studies show that for every 8-hour clinic day, a doctor spends an additional 5 hours doing paperwork. So basically, 2 hours of paperwork for every 1 hour of practice. Isn't that crazy? And this, I understand we got to document everything. And we have electronic healthcare records now, computers where you push buttons and do checkoff sheets. But the insurance companies are using this against the doctors. They're saying, I need more information. I need more documentation. I'm going to deny this claim. Pre-authorization, we talked about that last week. Well, you have to get permission from the almighty God insurance company to treat a patient. This insurance company never met you, knows nothing about you, never did an exam on you, and they're saying, I'm going to deny the claim. And it happens to all doctors. So it's a pretty big issue. The other issue that doctors are dropping out for is compensation. They're just not getting paid. Doctors make about 26% less than they used to. It's a big chunk of change. Getting out of medical school, $25,000 in debt. I know that's not your problem. That's a me problem, not a you problem, right? But these doctors are getting out, making less money with higher debt. And many physicians just feel like they're cogs in a wheel. And I've heard this from many of my friends that are healthcare providers, nurses, doctors, that work in the hospital setting. You just follow the rules. And there's not a lot of critical thinking. There's not a lot of abstract thinking. And from a business standpoint, I understand that. We don't want people going rogue when a hospital is responsible for their actions, but also patients don't get that global attention. Let me see what else we can do for this. Bob comes in with high blood pressure. Here's a prescription. Next. Cholesterol. Next. Diabetes. Next. Not sitting down and discussing nutrition, lifestyle changes, supplementation, berberine, vinegar to help stabilize blood sugar. Plain old vinegar. Salad dressing helps stabilize blood sugar. Do you know that? We talked about that last week. That's why you need to listen to the show every week. Work imbalances, heavy loads, inflexible schedules, doctors not be able to be with their families. This article just goes on and on and on. Now, why do physicians stay? Well, they care about their patients. I care about my patients. And believe me, the frustration is real. I get excited about work every single day, but man, there are some days where I just want to scream. This person needs care. Insurance company's denying it. Now, you can still see a doctor if your insurance company denies your claim. I had a patient this week. It was awesome. He came to see me. He says, I had Kaiser Healthcare. He says, so I had to see Kaiser doctors. No, you didn't have to see Kaiser doctors. Kaiser would only pay for Kaiser doctors. He said, so now I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, and you're on my network, so I came to see you. And he said, my wife looked at me and says, I don't care how much it costs. You need to get care with Dr. Joe. That's the attitude to have. Not Dr. Joe, but anybody who needs care that isn't covered by their insurance. You still need the care. Just because an insurance company's going to deny you, don't let them literally kill you because they're saying they're not going to cover it. So the pros of leaving a practice. Let's talk about why doctors are leaving. Stress reduction, lifestyle balance, new career fulfillment. They just burned out. They want to do something new. Income stability or increases. Sometimes doctors make more money quitting. The cons are that we became doctors. Most of us became doctors because we care about our patients. So you're going to lose that connection with your patients, and sometimes you don't make as much money. So these are just the pros and cons of why medical doctors are dropping out of care and why it's so important for you to start taking control of your own health. I cannot stress that enough. There's pros and cons. You can understand doctors have to make their decisions, but I don't want you becoming a victim of suddenly your doctor's out of business. How many people have had that happen to? You go to your doctor, doc's office is closed. Can't even find your records anymore. Happens all the time. Again, 1 out of 5 would quit in practice in 2 years. So some doctors make the right transition. Other doctors just quit. I remember years and years ago when I first started in practice, there was a clinic up the street from me, and apparently, story goes, the doctor was involved in gambling, and he just took off. He ran away from his debts. He wanted to get away from the bookies. And so I actually bought his mailing list from his wife, his patient list, and I reached out to the patients and said, hey, I'll take over your care plan. And we got a lot of patients from it. But he just disappeared. Gone. Done. So, yes, we rely on our doctors. Yes, we trust our doctors. I trust my doctors. But there are things you need to consider taking care of yourself. So let's talk about ordinary healthcare versus holistic healthcare, different approaches. Last week, we talked about high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, acid reflux, depression, and anxiety, medical versus holistic, and it's okay to do both. And all our shows, by the way, are archived on our website, drjoe.com. If you scroll down to the bottom of the homepage, you'll see a link that says The Dr. Joe Show. That's a Sunday night show that I do live, and we take callers. And then the other one is the podcast. And you can go back. We have them all archived there, hundreds and hundreds of hours of shows. You can sign up for our podcast. It's Dr. Joe for the Health of It, Dr. Joe for the Health of It, or whatever podcast service you're on. And you can listen to our archived podcast there, too. And then our YouTube channel, we have both the podcast and the live shows all archived there as well. So make this your habit. Make this your listening habit. Listen to these health shows. Because I can't imagine, number one, a more important topic than your health, and number two, a better investment. Just recently, this week, former president of my alma mater, young guy, in his 60s, died. That's wild. It's always weird when somebody my age dies. I always freak out over that. So I want you to be as healthy as you can for as long as you can. I don't plan on retiring, just so you know. I reported on this last week. I got a ton of emails saying, you're not going to quit, are you? You're not, telling us that this is the end for you. I'm here for you. So let's talk about arthritis, traditional treatment versus holistic treatment. And traditionally, we treat symptoms. And don't have a problem with treating symptoms. But I also want to get to the cause of whatever my healthcare problem is. Had a patient come in last week, psoriasis. Psoriatic arthritis with psoriasis on his skin. I said, it's an autoimmune condition. He goes, yeah, I know that. I said, so we can give you steroids to suppress your immune system. He says, yeah, we've done that. I said, but that doesn't fix the problem. It just suppresses your immune system, and you need your immune system. So I talked about liver issues and skin issues, and I put together a protocol for him. And he looked at me and he says, you're the first doctor I've ever seen that makes sense. I love when patients say that. You're the first doctor I've seen that actually makes sense. So I digress. We're 10 minutes into the show already. Traditional treatment for arthritis, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, steroids, and joint replacement. Pretty much your protocol, right? Let's talk about things you can do proactively to, if you have arthritis, deal with it, or ways to prevent it. Anti-inflammatory diet. Stay away from the inflammatory foods. Alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. Pretty much everyone's diet is an inflammatory diet. We want to go to an anti-inflammatory diet. That would be more plant-based, eating more what we call whole foods, not from the store, but foods that are minimally processed. Staying away from packaged foods, foods that have ingredients in it you can't pronounce. When you get to that point, if you do nothing but that, almost every one of your health conditions will improve. Maybe not get better, but improve. Turmeric. Turmeric is a wonderful anti-inflammatory. I take it every day. Now, I'll take one every day just as a prophylactic measure. But if I work out hard, if I do a lot of housework, yard work, I'm going to take maybe 3 or 4 turmeric supplements for a couple of days just to bring down the inflammation and then go back to my normal dose. Weight loss, of course, is big. If you have a weight problem, I used to have a weight problem. I have stretch marks all over my body because I understand being fat. I can say the F word. I used to be fat, and it was a real struggle until I finally realized it's not worth it. And I was young at the time, so it's a lot easier to lose weight. As you get older, it's a lot harder to lose weight. So we have a weight loss program. If you want to send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, I'll send it to you. It's a whole interactive course. I usually sell it. I'm going to give it to you for free. And listen to the class. Do what I say. Do what I say for 60 days and watch what happens. The big one, the biggest treatment, the best treatment, the least expensive treatment you can do for arthritis, osteoarthritis specifically, is chiropractic care. If a bone is out of place, it's going to rub against the bones above and below it and wear out. That's called osteoarthritis. So for the first time in your life, somebody told you why you have osteoarthritis. I go nuts when patients come in and they say, I have arthritis. Doctor told me I have arthritis. I have degeneration in my hip, my knee, my spine. Has anyone ever told you why you have degenerative arthritis? 100% of the cases in 40 years say no. And I see them every day. And I explain, bone out of place, rubbing up against the other bones wears out. And everybody says the same thing. That's the whole explanation? That's it? Yes. So if a bone is out of place, rubbing up against the other bones wearing out, what's the most logical thing to do? Put it back in place. There's 206 bones in the body. We can put any of them back in place, including the skull bones. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, bones popping, grinding, those are signs that bones are out of place, and you want to put them back in place as quickly as possible. If you don't, it's the only promise I'll ever make you in healthcare. I've been preaching for over 40 years now. I've seen tens of thousands of patients, helped probably millions through radio, television, podcasts, social media, books. The only promise I can make you is if you have a bone out of place, it's going to wear out. That's it. So if you want to make an appointment to come see us to see if you do have this condition and can it be put back in place, go to my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Normally the first visit is $940. For you, my listeners, I've reduced that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment going over the x-rays, and a complete nutrition evaluation. I will, if you want to do a consultation with me, I'm happy to. My doctors and I are going to co-manage your case together to get you the best care possible. So drjoe.com, you can book an appointment, and we accept almost every insurance. And if you're in a car accident, if the car is damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way in 40 years of doing this. So if you're in an accident, you need to come see us right away. You will get calls from scammers. I'm such and such from your insurance company. Go see this doctor. Go see this lawyer. It's a scam. If you get a call like that, get the phone number, or better yet, get the contract from the attorney, give it to me. I will then handle it through my sources that I have to stop these people from doing what they're doing. It's a felony what they're doing, and you're not getting the care you need. So drjoe.com, I digress. Even if we don't have an office near you, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge in the Atlanta area. I will try to find you a doctor in your area. So drjoe.com, book your appointments. So we're talking about arthritis, or traditional versus holistic health. There are so many things we can do. And almost everyone just lets it happen until it gets so bad and they can't walk. We have something called acoustic wave therapy. I love acoustic wave therapy. It sends really fast impulses into your joints, breaks up scar tissue, increases circulation, and recruits stem cells into the area. Actually working on getting to the cause of the problem. Then we realign the bone as well. Then we use cold laser to stimulate the mitochondria to generate healthy cells. So we've got a whole protocol, and then a dietary protocol. Nitric oxide, B complex, turmeric, to get to the cause of the problem. Why wouldn't you do that? So arthritis, traditional, treat the symptoms, nothing wrong with that. Holistic, get to the cause, so hopefully you don't have to treat the symptoms. Obesity. Again, I used to be obese. I can say this. Appetite suppressants, how about the GLP-1s? Big buzz, man, GLP-1s. And the ultimate is the bariatric surgery, where they either cut out, staple up a piece of your stomach or put a sleeve around your stomach. I saw recently there's one, they put a balloon in your stomach, so your stomach fills up real fast because a balloon is taking up most of the space. Okay, I'm all right with that. However, doesn't fix anything. As soon as you stop what you're doing, the weight comes back. You have to have dietary and lifestyle modifications. Now, the big buzz is GLP-1s. Now, GLP-1s are produced in the lower part of your intestine. They're produced by something called the L cells, the letter L. And L cells produce GLP-1s, which send it into the blood system, and they go throughout the body and look for GLP-1 receptor sites. What does that mean? The GLP-1 is like a key, let's say, and it's floating around looking for this lock to go into. So there's GLP-1 receptor sites all over your body. One place is your hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is the part of the brain that controls hunger. So it goes into the hypothalamus and it says, hey, I'm full. Got plenty of food. We're good. And that's how basically the GLP-1s work. Very, very simple explanation there. And so you say you're full, so you don't eat. Well, the problem with that is there's a lot of side effects. Gastrointestinal problems. You can go into gastroparesis where the digestive system doesn't work, constipation, vision problems, long-term issues, malnutrition. But you lose weight. And that's the goal, isn't it? Well, you lose weight until you don't. After about a year or so, your body starts to downregulate, and it doesn't work as well as it used to. And you're not eating when you're on these things. So almost everyone I've seen on GLP-1s goes into some state of malnutrition. So if you're going to do the GLP-1 drugs, again, we're talking traditional versus holistic, I am begging you, I'm on my knees begging you, take supplements. I know you don't want to because you have no appetite. Super Greens, Essential Source, B Complex, Vitamin D, minimum supplements right there. I would add probiotics to that. I would add men's and women's hormone supports. It's going to mess with your hormones, these GLP-1s. So I have a protocol, and if you want, I can send it to you. And I can send you the class on weight loss that I put together. I usually sell it, but I'll give it to you. Just send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, and just say weight loss class or weight loss protocol. I'll send it to you. It's absolutely free. It's my gift to you. But we know that if we can balance hormones, because leptin is a hormone that makes you feel full and ghrelin is a hormone that makes you hungry. If we can balance our hormones, many times that helps you eat normally. Eating a whole food plant-based diet almost always helps you lose weight. And that's a lot healthier. It's not as fast, but it's a heck of a lot healthier. And then, of course, keeping the body in motion is really important too. But here's the thing. You can't outrun your fork. What does that mean? I can't out-exercise my diet. I can't work out for an hour a day and then say I'm going to eat ice cream and drink beer and eat pizza because I work out. No. Weight loss is about 80 to 85% diet, about 15 to 20% exercise. So if you're going to lose weight, you got to do it dietarily. In fact, there's a great statement that says you want a six-pack ab, you get a six-pack ab in the kitchen. You don't get it at the gym. Because I know a lot of people that work out on a regular basis and still don't have the thin shape that they want, because they're fighting it with their fork. So don't do that. It's easier to diet than it is to exercise. And it's usually cheaper too. So it's not hard to lose weight. You just have to know how to do it. And I'm happy to send you my classes absolutely free. So if you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, and you can send it to drjoe.com. And we're talking about traditional versus holistic approach to healthcare. And I want to be your doctor. I really do. So you can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. We post twice a day on health tips, absolutely free. It's Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. Twice a day, absolutely free. The podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It, absolutely free. 2 podcasts a week, my gift to you. The YouTube channel, you have videos, get to see my pretty face, and you could watch videos of podcasts and live shows. Audios are there, anything you want, absolutely free. And if you have any questions, send me an email through the website, drjoe.com, and it says right there, whether you're on a computer or your phone, ask a question. Click on it, send me the question. I will personally answer your questions. I'll try to get to you within 24 hours. If you don't hear from me in 24 hours, send me another message. But it's very, very rare I don't get to somebody within 24 hours. I get a lot of questions, you can imagine, and I still practice. And, of course, we do radio and television. So I'll get to you, drjoe.com. So send me your health questions. Happy to answer you. I want to be your doctor. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, that's the best thing. You can book it directly through the website or call us. The number's on the website, and we'll get to that. So we're talking today about traditional healthcare versus holistic healthcare when it comes to pain or health issues, really. So migraines. We can give you pain relievers, medication, go in a dark room, stay out of loud sounds, stay away from light, right? But what I look at when a patient comes in with a migraine is, why do you have a migraine? Is there a trigger? I get headaches if I drink or eat any type of caffeine. Took me a while to figure that out. So a simple way you can try to figure out your trigger is keep a food diary. If you go to my website, drjoe.com, under patient forms, you'll see something called a diet diary. You can print up the diet diary. It's absolutely free. I won't know you there. And start writing down everything you eat. Now, when I say everything, you got to write down everything. If you have a piece of gum, if you have a candy, if you have a sip of soda, everything. And then mark in the margin when the headaches occur. And you'll see if there's a chemical trigger within just a couple of cycles what the trigger is. For me, it was caffeine. Real simple. So I take Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support. I take B-complex. I take Dr. Joe's energy boosters because I can't do caffeine. And I want to have energy like everybody else. And if 85% of you are doing caffeine, what do? I created a lot of these supplements to give you energy. So B-complex, Super Greens, Essential Source, nitric oxide, energy boosters. So all the supplements, by the way, are on the website, drjoe.com. The minimum supplements you should be taking, it's the first thing on the website, is the starter package. It's Super Greens, Essential Source. We have glutathione and vitamin D3 with K2. That would be your starter kit. And there's plenty of other ones I would take, but I got to go slow. I got to meet you where you are. So that would be the starter kit. And they're all on the website, drjoe.com. Chiropractic care does wonders for most headache patients. When I get a headache, because I have a traumatic brain injury and I have a broken rib, and it never healed properly, and it's really nothing you can do at this point, when my rib rotates, it pulls on my scalene muscles, which pulls on my occiput, which gives me a headache. So I have to get my rib adjusted, my neck adjusted, and my headache goes away. So there are a lot of things you can do. There's also magnesium supplement. It's on the website too. I take it every day. You should too. Most of us are deficient in magnesium. And magnesium does over 300 different things in the body. So if you're deficient in magnesium, 300, way more than 300 processes are being affected simply by not taking a little scoop of magnesium. It might cost you a couple of cents a day. So all the supplements are on the website. Send me questions through the website, drjoe.com. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. Podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. I don't know how else I can do this for you. Believe me, I'm always looking ways. I started writing articles for a newspaper. How's that for old school? Because I'm trying to get this message out as often as I can to as many people as I can, because it breaks my heart when people suffer needlessly. So if you want to make an appointment or contact me, drjoe.com. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot more to cover. We'll be right back. All right. That was a long diatribe there. What you got?
I've been adding vegetables to my noodles. Will that reduce the blood sugar spike?
It can, yes, absolutely. More fiber, the better. If you're going to do noodles, I'd recommend you cook them cool them overnight, and then eat them the next day or the day after. You can heat them or eat them cold, because that creates something called a resistant starch. You change the molecular structure when you cook it and cool it, and you're going to absorb about 40 to 50% less starch, less carbohydrate, than if you don't. And what you create, these resistant starches, actually feed the good bacteria in your colon. So if you're going to do lots of vegetables, but throw some beans in there if you want to too, resistant starches, cool and cook it later. If you're going to do wheat, I recommend organic only or wheat from Europe, because if it's in America, chances are it's been sprayed with glyphosate, which is weed killer, which really messes you up bad. Or do gluten-free, but you still got to cool it and eat it the next day. So that's a good way to do it. And then have a tablespoon of vinegar with it, better still. And some cinnamon, better still. Kylon cinnamon only. What else got?
I've heard that high-intensity interval training can significantly reverse the age of your heart. What are your thoughts?
Yes, absolutely. High-intensity interval training, HIIT we call it, is you work as hard as you can for 1 minute. And then you rest for about 30 seconds to a minute. Again, hard as you can. You do 8 cycles of that, or 6 cycles of that, really. And that's your whole workout. So it's really not a bad way to do it. I like it. So go ahead.
I've been eating more salad, so I'm hoping you'll give me a pass and allow me to use ranch dressing.
No. I wanted to, but I can't. The ranch dressing is just dairy products. It's ultra-pasteurized dairy products. It's the cows are fed steroids, chemicals, hormones, antibiotics, genetically modified corn and soy, high omega-6 fatty acid content. Casein is causing an allergic reaction in most people, certainly an inflammatory reaction. So if you're going to do a ranch, I'll negotiate with you. Look up a vegan ranch dressing recipe. I'll negotiate with you. If you're going to do ranch, do a vegan one, and I'll let you do it. What else?
Should I add a pinch of Celtic sea salt to my water?
Yes, absolutely. I use Celtic sea salt as my only salt. I use Celtic salt, Baja Gold. If you're going to do, those are the 2 salts I use, and that's it. You shouldn't use any other salt. And it does have about 70 different minerals in it, 70, 80 different minerals in it. So it actually is good for you, not bad for you. So the answer is yes. You just made yourself your own sports drink a heck of a lot cheaper with a lot less chemicals. So what else?
That's all.
All right, let's rock into part 2 here. It's a good show. Maybe I'll do, I don't know, should I do part 3? I could probably get more content. I don't know. We'll talk about this, John, afterwards. All right, John's my producer. I got to go with what he says. All right, part 2. Here we go. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. If you just joined us, welcome. If you stayed with me, thank you. I appreciate that. We're talking today about traditional versus holistic approach to different health conditions. And it's amazing. When I started doing this, I thought I'd just have a few. And then I started talking to patients. Well, I have this, I have this, I have this. And so I made this long list that I've got so many. Like I said, I may do a part 3. I don't know. There's so many things to cover here. So let's talk about allergies. Typical approach, antihistamines, steroid sprays. That's it, right? When I was a kid, I had allergies, as my mother said, and my mother would give me something called the Easter pill. And the Easter pill was this little multicolored pill and had a really bitter taste to it. I can still taste it. Here it is, decades and decades later, well over half a century later, and I can still taste this bitterness of the Easter pill. And when I went to bed at night, I had to take my Easter pill because it was multicolored like an Easter egg. Now, looking back, what a stupid thing to do. I don't know how else to say it. How insane. Now, my mother did what she thought was right because that's what the doctor told her. So it's not her fault. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. But knowing what I know now, what an insane way to do that. What we're trying to do with an antihistamine was just basically shut down my immune system, shut down the histamine reaction so I didn't have a runny nose. What if, instead of doing it that way, we actually said, why do I have an inflammatory reaction? Why is my nose running? Not just stop it from running. Why is that happening? And that's where I come in when it comes to allergies. First of all, you got to fix your gut. 70 to 80% of your immune system is in your gut. And we do things all day, every day to just tear the heck out of our guts. We eat bad foods. We have glyphosate on things like wheat and oats. It's sprayed on a lot of foods that are genetically modified. A lot of our products have it on there. We have folic acid that we spray on our crops and call it, it's a supplemented with folic acid. Folic acid, if you can't process it properly, becomes toxic. We don't eat enough fiber. Fiber feeds the good bacteria, so they can make more baby bacteria, which is where the immune system is. If you don't have enough fiber, you don't produce enough short-chain fatty acids like butyrate, and butyrate helps strengthen the wall of your intestinal tract so you don't absorb things like viruses, germs, bacteria. So you got to fix the gut when it comes to allergies. And I've never, in my decades and decades of doing this, ever had a patient come in and say, I went to my allergist, and they suggested I work on my gut. Never. Not once. Tens of thousands of patients. No one's ever said it. So we got to fix the gut. So sometimes it's a physical problem. The stomach is pushed up against the diaphragm, and we can actually physically pull the stomach away from the diaphragm. It doesn't hurt. And that many times fixes acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. Now you're able to digest your food more efficiently. Doesn't that make more sense? Then we get you on things like Dr. Joe's probiotic supplements. We get you on Gut Guard. Gut Guard has a supplement called Akkermansia, a probiotic called Akkermansia. Akkermansia can actually stimulate the production of GLP-1s in your own body, help control appetite. And it does a bunch of other things too. So we get you on Gut Guard. We get you on probiotics. We get you on a high-fiber diet so you have food to feed the bacteria, prebiotics to create probiotics. Maybe fermented foods like cabbages, kimchis, sauerkrauts. Even just cabbage by itself has lots of probiotics, even if it's not even fermented. So there's so many things we can do to repair the gut. Quercetin. If you're going to do a sweetener, local honey only. Please don't do any honey that's imported from another country. The chances are very strong that it ain't real honey. It's sugar water, even organic honey. I remember I bought an organic one from one of the big box stores, and it was clear. Well, if it was pure honey, it would have parts of pollen floating around in there, and it wouldn't be clear. So I said I got duped. And again, a store is just reselling something else. I can't go to a grocery store, Kroger, Publix, whatever, Walmart, and blame them because they're just buying something, trusting the seller who sold it to them. Now, I hope it's not toxic, of course, but like olive oils, for example, honeys, it really isn't honey and olive oil. It's just things cut, sugar water, maybe olive oil cut with soybean oil. So I don't blame the store, but I will take it back to the store and let them know, hey, this isn't real olive oil. This isn't real honey. I want my money back. And they always give it to you. So that's not a problem. You want to cut down the inflammatory foods. The number one food allergen is dairy products. So if you're eating butter, cheese, yogurt, ice cream, that's the number one food allergen. And you know what? When I was a kid, I come from a very overweight family, we had cake almost every night. I had cake with wheat in it, which is the number two food allergen, and eggs, which is not a dairy product, but milk. So milk and wheat before I went to bed spiked my blood sugar, crashed my blood sugar, hyper allergenic foods. No wonder I needed the Easter pill. So there's a lot of ways to fix that. I take now a digestive enzyme every day. Whenever I eat a cooked meal, I take a digestive enzyme. If I eat a raw meal, I don't. So the other day, I was thinking, what can I have for lunch? So I look in my refrigerator, like we all do, and I had some romaine lettuce in there, whole heads of romaine lettuce. And I said, ooh, I can make hummus. So I had chickpeas and tahini, and that's sesame seeds. And I ground it up in my food processor. I added a little bit of olives to it. I added some olive oil to it. I added some lemon juice to it. Made this wonderful hummus, way cheaper than anywhere else. You could buy a can of organic chickpeas at Walmart for $1.15. I think $1.13 actually. And so the whole lunch maybe cost me $2, maybe, if that. And the lettuce was raw, but the hummus was cooked. So what did I do? Took a digestive enzyme. Went out to dinner with my buddy the other day in a place called Decatur, Georgia. And went to this great Indian restaurant. Everything was cooked. Took a digestive enzyme. If you're over 40 and you start taking digestive enzymes, your life changes dramatically within days. Because now you're able to start digesting your food properly. And it's crazy when you digest your food. The bloating, the gas, the bad breath, the constipation all just start to fade away. And you absorb your nutrients. So we're actually turning back time, as Cher would say. If I could turn back time. One way to do it, take a digestive enzyme. So that's the approach I take to allergies, avoiding the big food allergens, wheat and dairy products, fixing the gut, taking digestive enzymes, and turmeric and not other supplements that are natural antihistamines like quercetin, and now the body starts to heal. And not only do I not have the allergies, I'm actually healing my body for other issues as well. So that's the nice part. It's not like we're doing one thing. I take an antihistamine, it shuts down my histamine production. I need histamine. What if I get stung by a bee? I need histamine reaction. What if I scratch myself? It's when we have the overly active histamine reaction that becomes a problem. So I'd rather just moderate and mediate damage that occurs. Asthma. If you're just tuning in, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. We're talking today about traditional versus holistic approaches to different conditions. So asthma, inhalers, corticosteroids, right? That's it. Done. What if we find out why you have the asthma? Why are my bronchial tubes constricting? So I'm not saying don't take your drugs. Please understand that. But what if we reduce dairy and wheat, which are the two big inflammatory foods? What if we take vitamin D3 with K2 to help build up the immune system? What if we start doing breathing exercises? I'll tell you a little story. Years ago, I was dating a gal, and she worked at a very famous spinal center here in Atlanta. And I met with the owner. I won't say the name, Mrs. somebody. And I told her, I said, this is early on in my career. I said, I would like to come and work with your quadriplegic, paraplegics, your paralyzed people. And I'd like to work with them 2 days a week. And I'll do it for free. Because they never considered chiropractic care, and the nutrition they were doing was just garbage. And she got very excited. So she went to her board of directors, and she called me up one day, the Mrs. Director, and she was crying. And I said, what's wrong? And she said, my board of directors said they don't work with doctors that don't work in the hospital. They always refer to doctors inside the hospital. I said, put me on staff. Pay me $1 a year. Wouldn't do it. But I say that because the gal I was dating was a respiratory therapist. And I said, let's try some experiments. So she got something called a spirometer. You blow into it. It measures how much air you can exhale. And I just sat down like I was sitting in a wheelchair, and I blew into the spirometer. And I had X amount of, lung volume. Then I stood up straight, opened up my lungs, and I blew into the spirometer. So much better. Then I started experimenting. I did things like a hot pepper, a vasodilator. I did hot peppers. And there was so many different ways I could increase my lung capacity. One of them just sitting up straight. Then we tried it before and after a chiropractic adjustment. Lung volume went up. So there are so many things we can do. Now, I'm not saying don't carry your inhaler with you in case it's an emergency. But what if we stopped the inflammation? What if we adjusted the nerves in the low back that control my bronchial tubes in my lungs? Because they were being pinched. Fix that. So there were several steps that we did to see the increase. And so, avoid the things that cause the bronchial tubes to clog up, but then increase the things you can do to increase circulation. Now we have Dr. Joe's nitric oxide support, which opens up blood vessels. I haven't done a study on that, but I know I feel great when I take it. You should too. Don't take it if you have low blood pressure. Low blood pressure, it will make your low blood pressure even lower. Now, before you send me the question, which you're all going to send me on the website, can I take nitric oxide if I'm on blood pressure medication? The answer is yes, nitric oxide support. But monitor your blood pressure. If it goes too low, which is my goal, go back to your prescriber and say, hey, can I reduce my medications? And everyone I've ever sent back to their prescriber, if the prescriber was good, they say, well, yeah, the whole goal is to lower your blood pressure. You're lowering your blood pressure, we don't need to give you the medications. Follow? So there's so many things we can do holistically for that. Autoimmune disorders, rheumatoid arthritis. There's tons of them. I'm not going to go every one of them. Thyroid conditions, immune suppressants, and biologics. So what an immune suppressant does is my immune system is overreacting. I have Graves' disease. I don't. But my body's attacking my thyroid. I have rheumatoid arthritis. My body's attacking the joints. And so what do? We suppress the immune system to calm it down. Works. However, it didn't fix anything. Now the problem comes in is what if I need my immune system? Uh-oh. I need my immune system. I don't have it. It's still there, of course. It's just not working like it used to be. So what do we do for that? Repair the leaky gut. Leaky gut, some places your gut is only one cell thick. And if you don't have enough things like short-chain fatty acids, butyrate, glutamine, these are things that strengthen the wall of your colon. And if you don't have that, you can leak undigested food, bacteria, fecal matter, proteins into the blood system. Now, the immune system says, wait a minute, those things don't belong in the blood system, and the immune system goes crazy and starts attacking the blood system, these foreign objects in the immune system, in the blood system. So if we can fix the gut, we take the stress off the immune system, and many times it's able to kind of reboot itself. We do what's called an elimination diet. We look at your diet and say, okay, let's start taking out some of the foods that can be causing an inflammatory reaction. So the big seven are alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener. Things like breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas, processed foods, ultra-processed foods. We take you off those. We get you on a good plant-based diet. And then one by one, we reintroduce them. And let's see what causes a reaction. It's called an elimination diet. Obviously, vitamin D is so important. D3, if you're going to take D3, make sure you take it with K2. I have patients come in all the time, every day. Dr. Joe, I take vitamin D3. I heard you on the radio. I heard you on a podcast. I heard you on one of your books you wrote talk about vitamin D3. So I started taking it. Does it have vitamin K2 with it? What's that? K2 does, one of the things it does helps clean out your arteries. So I take vitamin D3. One of the many things it does, it takes calcium from my food and brings it into my blood. K2 takes it from my blood and brings it into my bones. So K2 helps clean up clogged arteries, calcium buildup in the arteries. So don't take D3 without K2. Omega-3 fatty acids are vital if there's an immune disorder. They're called essential fatty acids. You have to get them from an outside source. I get mine, and you should too, from algae oil. It's the purest form. Fish oil, you run the risk of contamination. You run the risk of mercury. It's not in a phospholipid form. It can go rancid. Algae oil is the purest form of omega-3s. I take 1 gram a day. You should too. So what we're talking about today, folks, so far is traditional versus holistic healthcare on certain symptoms. Now, if you would like to set up an appointment to come see us, and let's set up a protocol specifically for you. Is it neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, heartburn, acid reflux, bloating, gas, hormonal imbalances, brain disorders, brain fog? Let's put together a holistic approach to go with your traditional approach. My goal is ultimately get you well enough so you don't need the traditional approach anymore. No matter what it is, high blood pressure, diabetes, whatever it is. So if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, digestive issues, whatever it is, go to my website, drjoe.com, make an appointment to come see me. See us, my team of doctors. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge in the Atlanta area. We can do remote consultations if we need to, but drjoe.com. Normally the first visit is $940. For you, my listeners, I've reduced that to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, first treatment, going over the x-rays, and on the follow-up visit, going over the x-rays and a complete nutrition evaluation. drjoe.com. And we accept almost every insurance out there. Medicare, we're on the VA referral list. Car accidents. I teach other doctors on a regular basis how to deal with car accidents, and lawyers and neurosurgeons how to treat car accidents. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, drjoe.com. I would love to be your doctor. And if you have any questions at all, send me your questions through the website, drjoe.com. I'm happy to answer them for you personally. Give me at least 24 hours. If I don't get back to you in 24 hours, you can try again, but I don't think I've ever not gotten back to somebody. So, drjoe.com. So we're talking today about traditional versus holistic approaches. I want to talk about thyroid because when I first got into practice, I need to do more of these. I may have to do a whole nother show. We got to do kidney. Make a note of that. Kidney. When I first got in practice, I hardly ever saw thyroid patients. I hardly ever saw kidney patients. Now I see them between one or the other almost every day. So thyroid conditions, we give you synthetic thyroid hormone, which I'm perfectly fine with if you need it. Absolutely. But here's the thing I want you to understand about your thyroid gland. Your thyroid gland produces hormones like T2 and T3, T1, T2, T3, and T4. So T means the thyroid, and the number 1, 2, 3, or 4 is how many molecules of iodine are attached to that hormone. So T1 is 1, T2 is 2. So what do we need there? We need iodine. Many of you don't get enough iodine. In fact, many of you don't get any iodine. If I ask you right now, what's your source of iodine? A lot of you would go, I don't know. Some of you would say, I use iodized salt. You're not supposed to use that white table salt junk, but we iodize it because most people don't get enough iodine and everybody uses salt. That was the whole principle of putting iodine in your salt. So if you have iodized salt, not a good idea. So Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source are excellent sources of iodine, along with a million other benefits. but that's a great source of iodine. I take Super Greens and Essential Source every day. You should too. So T4 is your thyroid hormone, and it converts into T3, and that's the active form. That's the form that your body needs. Well, the conversion takes place in your liver. So now we're being an investigative sleuth. What if your liver isn't working properly? Now we've got a problem. So if your liver isn't working properly, you can't convert T4 into T3. You don't have enough iodine to make the hormones anyway. And if you're doing things like bromine, fluoride, chlorine, those are called haloids. Iodine's a haloid too. It's the type of molecule. It looks like a certain type. It looks a certain way. Now, if I don't have enough iodine to be absorbed by my thyroid, what does my body do? Well, it starts trying to absorb these other haloids that look like iodine but aren't. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine. And it can block up my iodine receptor sites, and now I can't absorb iodine. So I'm not converting it because my liver ain't working right. I don't have enough iodine to make this stuff. No wonder my thyroid isn't working. So we get people with thyroid issues on selenium, iodine. We treat their adrenal glands because the thyroid and the adrenal glands work off each other, and a pituitary gland. Of course, we fix the gut. We detoxify the body, get all the junk out of the body like fluorine, chlorine, and bromine. We get them on Super Greens and Essential Source. And then we get them on liver cleanup. Things like Dr. Joe's Daily Purify, which is really good for liver care. Dr. Joe's Glutathione, very good for liver. Super Greens, which has chlorella in it, which helps detoxify the liver. So there's many things that we do to try to get the body back to normal. Now, there are conditions that are serious that need medical care, absolutely. I knew a child one time had Graves' disease, got it from her mother, and her grandmother had it as well, and she had this rapid heart rate, and we tried the holistic approach, and it didn't work. And the doctors, I remember, it was a major children's hospital here in Atlanta, and they said, Doc, we here at the hospital like your biggest fan. We love your shows, we love your podcast, we think you're brilliant, but I think we've done everything we could do, and I think we need to remove the thyroid. And with a heavy heart, I said, okay, I guess we have to do it. So there's a place for traditional medicine, and there's a place for holistic medicine. But when the two come together, that's what I consider the ultimate healthcare protocol. When we can get those two to come together, man, life is amazing. And I'm seeing the change. I'm seeing the change with RFK Jr. coming in and changing the food pyramid. I don't agree with everything on the food pyramid, but what a major step. Taking artificial dyes out of our diet. Wonderful. Still working on things like artificial sweeteners. There's still a lot of progress that needs to be made, but I'm very excited that this shift is happening. And if you listen to the beginning of the show, I talked about doctors are dropping out of care, dropping out of practice. Why? Because they're as frustrated as you are. They know people need this more global approach to their health care. Supplements, gut repair, chiropractic care, fixing the digestive system, naturopathy, homeopathics. These things have been used all over the world forever. And yet for some reason, well, I know why. There's no money in it. It's really cheap to go to a chiropractor. It's not really cheap to have your knee replaced. And so it's not being taught. These alternative protocols are not being taught to these doctors. It's not their fault. It's the system that doesn't work. And so what do? We try to incorporate the two, and I'm seeing the incorporation happen more and more. 40 years ago, I couldn't even talk to a medical doctor. Nurses wouldn't talk to. We were backcrackers. We were quacks. And here it is 40 years later, when I treat orthopedists, neurologists, neurosurgeons, I lecture at their conferences. I did a conference the other day on a neurophysiology of traumatic brain injury to a bunch of neurologists and chiropractors and lawyers. How cool was that? 40 years ago, I wouldn't even be allowed in a room. So what progress we've made in a relatively short period of time, and it's moving at an exponential speed. It's happening faster and faster. When doctors are sending me patients almost every day, Dr. Joe, we're stuck. We don't know what to do with this one. Can you take over this case for us or co-manage it with us? I have surgeons send me patients all the time that they can't bring down their blood pressure, diabetes, their obesity, their smoking, so they can't get permission, what's called surgical clearance, to do surgery on a patient. Now I do these protocols. I send them back to the surgeon. The surgeon gets paid. Lawyers love it because if it's a legal suit, they can't close the case until the person has surgery. They're not well enough to have surgery, can't close the case. Patients get their settlements, lawyers get paid, doctors get to do the surgery, everybody wins. Nobody's losing when people get well. Well, a lot of people lose when it comes to money, but my concern is your health. I want to get to the cause of your healthcare problems and not just treat the symptoms. It's a novel approach, I know, but I love it. And one of the things that excites me, as I talk about me here all of a sudden, worst thing you want to hear, right, from a broadcaster, is I'd probably be dead if I wasn't in this field. We all have health issues. I have a lot of health issues. And I fixed most of them over time, and I'm still working on fixing, new ones come up. Of course, as you get older, things change. So I'm excited seeing the miracles happen to me, my staff, my patients, my friends. I want to share those miracles with you. And it's real simple. Fix the nervous system, fix the digestive system, fix the diet. That's it. I'm almost out of time. If you have any questions, send them to me through my website, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Happy to answer your questions. Do me a favor. I give you all this information. I answer your questions. My gift to you, follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn. Dr. Joe Esposito. Facebook is the Dr. Joe Esposito. We're going to give you 2 health tips a day absolutely free. If you like podcasts, the podcast is Dr. Joe for the Health of It. Subscribe. Cost you nothing to subscribe. You're doing me a favor. YouTube channel. Subscribe. Cost you nothing to subscribe. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, podcast, Dr. Joe for the Health of It. And if you want to make an appointment, all the supplements we talk about, or if you have, send me a question, the website is drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Folks, thank you so much for being here. Tell your friends about this. Hope to see you soon. All right. You have any questions for part 2?
Do you see any problem with strength training after a large meal? Will it disrupt digestion?
Yes. Digestion is a parasympathetic function, means the body has to slow down to digest. Heavy workout is a sympathetic function. You got to do one or the other. I'd say you work out on an empty stomach. That's going to be the best way. And then after you work out, you go from sympathetic into parasympathetic, then you could eat. So that's the best way to do it. What else?
How fast does nitric oxide work before noticing its effect, like before a stressful appointment?
Usually 20 minutes or a half hour. We've had many patients over the years come in with high blood pressure, and like the blood pressure is so high, it's dangerous. So we give them some 4-nitric oxide capsules, let them sit down for 20 minutes or so. Blood pressure drops, and then we're able to move on. So, yeah, I take it every day. You should too. If you have low blood pressure, don't take it though. What else?
I love sweet tea. Should I use stevia or monk fruit instead of sugar?
Yes and yes. Do organic tea too, by the way. Organic tea is going to have less pesticides and chemicals in it. What else?
Is a handful of cherries okay for dessert, or is that too much sugar?
Nope, it's excellent. Absolutely wonderful. I love cherries. Fruit's great because it has fiber with it. So if I have cherry juice or fruit juice, that's not a good idea, but the fruit's fine. So, what else?
What are your thoughts on sardines?
I don't eat fish. I wouldn't recommend you eat fish, but if you're going to eat fish, sardines are the best choice because they're small. They have a very short lifespan. And so they don't have time to pick up the heavy metals, the mercury, the lead, the cadmium, radiation that a lot of the bigger fish have. So if you're going to eat fish, the smaller the fish, the better. And sardines would be the best choice. So.
Do you know of any foods that are related to neurological disorders?
I'm not sure what that means. Is it causing or helping? I'm not sure. I don't know how to answer that question. Send me an email on that one through drjoe.com, and I'll send you the protocols that we use. I'm not sure how to answer that one. So, what else?
How much sunlight is too much?
What I recommend is about 20 minutes if you're Caucasian, about a half hour if you're dark-skinned. And what you do is you wait till the skin starts to feel warm, or pink, if you can see it turn pink, and then get out of the sun. Now, I'm not saying don't get out of outside. Wear big floppy clothes. If you go to the Caribbean or anywhere near the equator, Africa, you notice that they wear long sleeves and long pants. It's a summer. We're wearing shorts and tank tops. Stupid idea. Because the long baggy pants allow air to circulate, but they protect the sun from hitting the skin. So if you're going to get in your bathing suit, 20 minutes, then get under an umbrella. When I go to the beach, I always take an umbrella with me. And that's the best way to do it. And also, you're going to use a sunscreen. I'll probably do a show on this coming up as spring rolls around. Having zinc oxide is going to be the best sunscreen. Main ingredient is zinc oxide. It's going to leave a little white coating on your skin. That's good. It's protecting you from the sun. If it doesn't leave a white coating, it's not protecting you from the sun. And it can protect you from the sun, but actually it can increase your risk of skin cancer. So zinc oxide, the only type of sunscreen you should use. But get a big floppy hat, get some long sleeves, real baggy stuff, you'll be fine. What else?
That is all.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you very much. Please follow me on social media. But the best thing you can do is make an appointment to come see us. Don't be like so many patients that wait a year, 2 years, 5 years and go, why didn't I do this sooner? Don't be that person. I hope to see every one of you very soon.